Welcome to 3R's Sports with a special edition of Stretch the Chain. We've been absolutely crazy lately. Braves in the World Series. Let me get far enough back. You can see my official, and which way does it go? Daddy Daughters logo on the side of it. But first of all, congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, world champions. Raj Mehta is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes, but already online, your favorite and my favorite, the only honest football commissioner ever, Robbie Davis.
Oh, thank you. Welcome. Thanks for having me. Got my blue hoodie on again because that's what I roll with.
Is that a look for you?
This is my come home from work and this is what I put on every day look.
I just got a question. Are we going to hear a NASCAR Finals champion tonight at some point?
Oh, you know it. I'm so pumped up about this. I'm so happy the Titans play Sunday Night Football. Red Zone all day with the race on the bottom TV and then captivating the week with the Titans game. I'm so pumped.
You are pumped. Now let's bring in the man whose team was unexpectedly ranked higher than we all thought, ranked above a couple of undefeated teams, which we'll get into in the first. But first of all, the man that's been mourning for the week because the king is dead.
Yeah.
Brandon James.
Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. I was surprised by the rankings. There were a few surprises in there. I think for the most part, the committee tried to hold true to somewhat of an eye test until it came to Alabama. But, I'm sorry, not eye, but head-to-head. That was the big one. Head-to-head was a big deal, except for the Alabama game. But, yeah, Alabama's Alabama. They're on track. If Georgia beats them in the SEC championship, I don't see how you can keep Alabama in. But yeah, some of these rankings, we got Wake Forest. That's going to be, they're already a 2.5 point dog to North Carolina. That's
all right. I've got a first question. I'll send it to Robbie since you made your statement. Then I'll come right back to you because I think, like most of America, you believe the one-loss principle only applies to Alabama. But Robbie Davis, ranked 1, Georgia. Ranked 2, Alabama. Ranked 3, Michigan State. Brandon said Alabama was the only team not punished by being a one-loss team. Number 4, Oregon, lost to Stanford. Worst loss of anyone in the top 10, in my opinion. Is the committee not punishing you for a loss as heavily in the past?
So this ranking, while I don't disagree with the top 4 teams necessarily, the order of them, though, leads you to believe or maybe shows you what you already thought, that this is a TV production show. And they are setting up for if whoever loses the SEC championship game, they're hoping it's Georgia and they can slot them to 3. But even if it's Alabama, can we keep them in at 4? To put those 2 teams right there, they're showing this is a TV show, and they want the most eyeballs there. Yeah, I agree with you. Michigan State, they're undefeated. Are they better than Ohio State? We'll find out, which is the kind of the sideways end of this. But I don't think so. I don't think Michigan was all that good. Good teams don't blow 30-12 leads or 30-16, whatever it was. I think that's what this is set up for. Like it's like when you're negotiating, you're starting high, wanting to end somewhere. They know where they want to end, and this is how they have to get there. And so, yeah, losses, they're just, hey, this is what we're doing, and we can spin it how we want through the media. The one team that, I don't know if got screwed's the right word, but Cincinnati, what more can you do? You scheduled you scheduled Indiana, who was a top 15 team. When you start the season, you played at their place. You played at Notre Dame, and they're saying it's still not enough, and then their schedule's only going to get worse from here. So basically, again, goes back to the TV show theme. Cincinnati's not the draw. They're going to get left behind.
All right, Brendan Shane. So I agree with Robbie. Do you agree Oregon 4? They head-to-head beat Ohio State. Now, what happens in this scenario? Ohio State beats Michigan State. Both of them run the table from there.
Yeah, so if Ohio State beats Michigan State and they both run the table, Ohio State's in. Also, I agree with Oregon should be ahead of Ohio State right now. Now, I know Ohio State's a different team than when they played Oregon, and they're improving. And, we've got games set up down the road in the schedule to prove that. We just, we went out, we're in, is my opinion. But the head-to-head, like Robbie said, it's a TV production. It only matters for certain instances. Like, Alabama, that loss was terrible. Like, that was a really bad loss. And for them to be number 2 after that loss, I could see them maybe sliding into number 4, number 5. I agree, Cincinnati. I think that Tulane game hurt them. They should have beat them by 50, and they didn't. And I think that's what really caused them to slide out of the top. I actually do agree with the committee. I think it's pretty obvious with Oklahoma. The eye test there, you just watch them. They're just not a good football team. And I think
in a horrible conference.
And their ranking may even be too high. I don't know. But you can go 2 through 6, and you can make an argument pretty much for or against any one of those teams. So like you said, Robbie, it's a production, it's a TV show. They're setting traps in play, if you will, that when these games start to play out, like everyone knows, one way or another, that's going to move these rankings. This was just, it really means nothing at this point until these games get played out.
So one thing to keep your eye on is they ranked A&M at 14. So Alabama's loss is on the road to number 14 ranked team. Watch where A&M goes and watch them try to justify A&M rising and then saying, oh, Alabama's maybe 2 losses are on the road to a top 10 A&M team and essentially a home game in Atlanta to Georgia.
Right.
Watch that.
Yeah, I agree. Because you look at some of the teams that are ranked ahead of them: Notre Dame, Wake Forest, Oklahoma State, Baylor. Those teams could easily fall all the way down. And then keep climbing. Oklahoma, or Texas A&M could easily, slide in there to that top 10, like you said, to make their loss relevant. And that's just. It's a cat and mouse game, and then it always is. It's still the BCS. They try and do this college playoff pick. They still control everything. It's a production. It's a different format of the same old crap we've been getting for years.
Robbie, have they created a pseudo 18 playoff? Because now you have Michigan State, and Michigan involved. You have Georgia, Alabama involved. You have Oregon involved. You've really, really put some interest in it by the rankings, and you've got kind of an NFL feel going down the stretch.
If I'm not the SEC or the Big Ten, I'm looking at these rankings and I'm terrified because Oregon's not going to make it. They don't have enough wins left. You have Oklahoma at 8 behind 1 loss Michigan, 1 loss Ohio State. You have Wake Forest behind Oklahoma and those Big Ten teams. Guys, it very well could be an SEC Big Ten Final Four.
That was where I was heading.
Yeah, I totally agree.
A one-loss Michigan State, a one-loss Ohio State, a one-loss Alabama, and a one-loss Georgia. Are they not the best 4 teams in the country, Brandon?
I mean, right now it looks that way, but they've got some tough games ahead of them. Somebody's got to lose Ohio State, Michigan, and then of course we've got to play or Ohio State, Michigan State, and then of course we got to play Michigan, again. So that right there, Ohio State, if they win, that's a number 4 ranked team potentially and a number 7 ranked team potentially. 2 big signature wins, one at home, one away. That could be good and get Ohio State in. But where does that leave Cincinnati? Like you said, I mean, they're left on the outside and they've done everything they can possibly do, and it's just they don't draw enough attention and they don't have the followings that some of these Power Fives do, and it's just unfortunate that was this whole thing of the playoffs set up, right? That you're supposed to be able to play anyone and get in. But what else can you do when you schedule tough schedules? You beat teams on the road. That Notre Dame on the road was a signature win. Like, what else can they do? And they still don't get – if they go undefeated and, are left outside, I mean, I get it, but what else do you do? I mean,
and you have to schedule so far in advance. So, like, you're just saying, hey, not only do we schedule tough, we have to make sure we have to get lucky and those teams be good when we hit them.
Right.
I mean, they could say, hey, I'll schedule Tennessee, Florida, LSU all the same year. If they schedule them this year, they have no good wins. Well, those are 3 programs that you would love to schedule, and they just don't happen to be good.
Right. Well, and so I'm for. I heard this on some talk show or podcast or something. Some type of flex schedule. So you schedule in a conference. It's yet to be determined which team in that conference that you're going to play, because ranked, based on relativity to your ranking of that year, like everyone wants to watch good games. So why would you have a number 1 team in their conference play a number 10 team in the other conference or whatever? So that flex schedule, and then you can set terms, the beginning of that year based on, the pre-rankings and stuff. I think that would be more entertaining and would bode well for, both parties involved. But, who knows if that'll ever happen.
Yeah, just real quick, who I think is sitting pretty in all this is if it becomes a round robin, so between Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, the team with if there's a team with 1 loss that doesn't have to play in the Big Ten championship, that's just sitting there and watch the dominoes fall around them, I think they're in a good shape to swoop up for that 4th spot.
Yes, good.
And that would be Michigan State with the schedule having already beat Michigan.
So they would be the team that could, with 1 loss that wouldn't play.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like that if I was Michigan State.
Yes. So if Raj doesn't join us, we'll move on. But I want to ask one more question. I'm going to give you my top 4 and throw all the other stuff out. My 4 best football teams in the country: Georgia, Michigan State, Alabama, Ohio State. Brendan Chain, what's yours?
I don't disagree. Like I said, Georgia's, a clear number 1. I think you can take 2 through. I mean, Cincinnati, it's hard not to give them credit. Like I said, it is. But, I mean, 2 through 6, we'll see how it plays out. I think Ohio State's one of the top 4 teams in the country, especially right now. But
my point to all that is Ohio State's loss to Oregon isn't as bad as Oregon's loss to Stanford. And I don't care if it's head-to-head. You lost to a good football team on the road. You lost to a bad football team on the road. I'll take the good loss over the bad loss. That's just the eye test to me.
I agree. Well, and
I don't disagree with the 4. I disagree with the order. I think it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan State. So that's just nitpicking. Just who I think would win head to head. I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan State. I think Georgia is probably going to be Alabama. I think either of them probably beat Ohio State. But I mean, it gets closer. I think Ohio State, Alabama are really close, and I think they're both better than Michigan State. And I think Georgia's separated themselves from those two.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's really damn good.
Yeah, their defense is sick too. So I don't,
let's move on to another subject while we wait on Raj. And I'm kind of trying to save the subject because I think he would make most interest in until he gets here. He's running a minute late. So let's go on to Nashville. And I'm not a Titans fan, and I still do not believe in that offense outside of 22. I think everything's predecessor off of King Henry, and Tannehill's success is somewhat due to 22. But this week we found out it still debated whether it's for the season, but it's for a big chunk of the season at worst. Jeremy McNichols is the obvious replacement on roster, but he's more of a smaller back, a change of pace back. They signed Adrian Peterson, who's 2 years younger than me, off the street, and he's going to be the backup, or he's going to be, I guess, the main ball carrier. Robbie, we'll start with you. Let's just put it in a reason. What's the Titans' new expectations now?
So I don't think the expectations change. I think the path to them is altered, but we are in luck. We being the Titans, obviously. The division's horrible, and the Jets very well may beat the Colts tonight. And if they do, it's game over. Titans just have to beat the Jags twice, Texans, and that's it to win the division. So you have a home playoff game. You may have to win 2 on the road. But I mean, McNichols he's a good scatterback, and I don't know if Peterson's going to play that much. I think it's more of a depth kind of thing. But I mean, Tannehill was highly drafted at A&M. He had Adam Gase, who just destroyed him. Since he's been in Nashville, he's been an accurate passer. Yes, he gets the benefit of one-on-one coverage, but those one-on-one receivers, it's still A.J. Brown and Julio. Those are still number 1 receivers that can get open. Julio, if he can get healthy, A.J. can get open against anybody. So I don't think it's doom and gloom. Yes, it's hard to lose a NFL MVP candidate, the best running back in football. But I think the Titans manage at 500 from here on out. You may be the number 2 seed, 3 seed. Like it doesn't change things. I think it makes it more difficult, but the sky is falling. It is not. The Titans, Vrabel's a great coach. The defense is getting better. The schedule lightens up after the Rams this weekend. I mean, hey, it's a bad week. Rams are probably going to kill them. But after that, it gets easier, and they'll gain confidence and get more used to without Henry.
Well, Jametta joining us. Welcome, but let's get to Brandon Chain first. Raj, to get you up to speed, we're talking about the Titans' future without Derrick Henry. So, Brandon, do you think Jeremy McNichols can carry the ball 12 times a game, catch 4 or 5 out? Let's go back and look at the Atlanta Falcons in 2017 with Devontae Freeman, a smaller back, but a more traditional back than McNichols, but an offense that featured 2 explosive outside receivers and a quarterback, a serviceable mid-level quarterback. Tannehill, Ryan, I think they're very comparable.
Right.
Did the Titans become 2017 Falcons?
Possibly. So here's my thought on it. From what I've been hearing on, Titans radio locally, one, they didn't bring in AP for, just depth necessarily. I think their plan is first and second down back with AP. I think he's going to be for all talks in practice. Today and yesterday, he had pads on today. Looked great. Still runs violently. Now he's got a lot of miles on the tires. We're not going to see 25 carries out of AP. I think we're going to get more of that 12 to 15 range. But he's going to be the first and second down guy. Mixed in with Foreman, and McNichols is going to be your third down passing situation type guy. It's going to be running back by committee. I think they're going to try and stick to somewhat the same game plan. But you got to look at what the defense is going to do now. Now we're not going to be seeing 8-9 men in the box. We're going to be seeing nickel dime packages. We're going to see 4 or 5, maybe 6 rushers. So that's going to change the scheme of things a little bit. I think we got to be creative. We've got to take what one guy and King Henry can do and take 2 or 3 guys and try and create that same dynamic in the backfield with that. But Vrabel's a run first guy. He said in the press conference right after Henry, it was, we still plan on running the ball. If you're looking at us to pass 45 times a game, that's not who we are. So they're going to find ways. They're going to think outside the box and get creative there in the backfield. And it might actually be okay, not facing 9 guys in the box every time. So, like Robbie said, I think it's business as usual. They just got to get a little more creative. After this Rams game, I think it's going to be a little bit of regroup. This will be a true test. And with such short notice, it's hard to get everyone prepared. But, I see us definitely home playoff. And if we can get Henry back by the playoffs, would be, ideal.
And don't discount Tannehill's ability to run on short yardage pickup.
Absolutely.
Where you just turn and hand it to Henry. They can spread them out and let Tannehill run to the edges.
Like I said, they're going to get creative. They're going to use 2 or 3 guys to create that one guy of what Henry's dynamic could do. It's going to take a committee, but these guys are smart. I love Randall, and I think they're going to be fine.
Roger Meta, was you shocked that the Titans didn't make a move yesterday at the trade deadline? Because I kind of expected to see somebody we didn't think of move, Philip Lindsay from Texas. Somebody that's a backup somewhere with maybe some NFL experience. Or do you think that the Titans feel like they've got enough in the tank to replace him?
I think as Rob said, the schedule is a key. If they were facing the gauntlet, I think they would have done more. I thought they were going to get after Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones, the old SC guy, a hard north and south runner, built, even though he's around the same height and size as McNichols and Darrington Evans, who's hurt for the year. Those guys are both kind of scat backs. Jones runs hard and he can catch the football. And that's the difference with AP. He's never been known for catching the football. That's my concern, is how one-dimensional they're going to be, because Derrick Henry can catch the football. Derrick Henry is a freak of nature. Derrick Henry is 280 pounds and runs a 4.4. And that's not even that much of an embellishment. But he can do it all. I don't expect a lot from Nichols in that sense. It'll probably be the third down back. But, I did think they'd go out and get somebody else. Maybe Todd Gurley, who's still out there. Maybe they still make a deal. I don't, the logistics. It seems like there's always trades after the deadline, or people that are released. Some behind the scenes handshakes. But yeah, I was a little surprised. I know Tampa asks for a lot for Jones, but Philip Lindsay, other guys, even a guy like Devontae Booker, just a north and south runner that I think we're going to see a lot more, as Brandon said, on Tannehill running the ball. And now that Julio's healthy, I think they'll stretch the field a little bit more. It was kind of funny. I read an article that all Vrabel said to Peterson is, "Don't do dumb shit." You don't really have to say that to Adrian Peterson. He's going to run north and south. It's exactly, it fits in great for what they need. But I'm a little surprised, but I think they're going to be fine. Like those guys said, it's not exactly the gauntlet.
Well, just real quick, so the Titans right now in the clubhouse with 6 wins leading the AFC. Coming up, you have Saints at home, Texans at home, Jags at home, Dolphins at home, and at Texans. That should be 5 wins. That gets you in the clubhouse at 11 wins.
Hey, how'd that Jets game go, by the way?
Hey, the Jets are getting better.
They weren't when the Titans played them.
We showed them the blueprint of how to improve. Hell, if we don't beat the Jags twice, then I'll stop watching the NFL.
All right. Any given Sunday is the point.
Do we see Derrick Henry in 2021?
Yeah.
He'll be in the playoffs.
We've only got so much of the Super Bowl window.
He'll be in the playoffs.
He's a freak of nature. Well, he'll heal faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
Let's remind everybody, which we'll cover soon enough. The Braves just won a World Series without Ronald Acuna, who's arguably the top 3 baseball players in the nation. But we'll come to that a little later. We'll let Rod get warmed up because he may have been the first person I heard say the Braves are going to win the World Series. All right, let's move on. Anybody got anything else on the Titans? Because I think any chance they beat the Rams?
No.
Anybody want the Rams?
Any given Sunday.
There's a chance. Rams are beatable.
And if you're the Rams,
the Bills and the Chiefs,
the Rams
guys know
that. The Rams haven't seen this setup. The Rams haven't seen, no one has seen an NFL Titans offense without Derrick Henry. So how creative can we get?
Jalen Ramsey worries me on AJ.
Yeah, I agree, but it's the NFL. And like Shane said, you think the Rams, they don't know that Derrick Henry's done for the year. They think they're going to show up and beat this team. Anything can happen. And if Tannehill gets going with those legs, it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, like the Jets over the Titans. I'm going to say that as much as possible, by the way.
No, and it should be said because that's exactly what it was any given Sunday where we overlooked the team and we got our butts kicked.
So we need to move on. So let's go on to a subject that's going to be very hard for me to talk about. It is truly, I wish I hadn't watched the video that we had distributed in our group chat. Tragedy struck the NFL this week. Henry Ruggs driving over the legal limit in Las Vegas, and no matter what your opinion of it is, it's a dumb move. But at 156 miles an hour, has a fatal wreck. What, outside of the ramification of football, and we'll get to football in a second, what positive could young people learn from this situation that may cause someone to not repeat what he's done? And Robbie, we'll start with you. And I don't know how much you know about the Vegas, Nevada statutes, but it seems like to me this is going to be at least a sizable term in confinement for him.
Yeah, well, let me just not correct what you said, but just edit what you said. This isn't an NFL tragedy. This is a tragedy for a family.
You are exactly right.
An NFL player. And so let me back up. I'll take the NFL, but the NFL players are very well and generally behaved in society. the percentage of them that get arrested versus the percentages of that age group in males is unbelievably well behaved. So don't take this into a thuggery or rich entitled men. This is a guy who made a very bad decision, and unfortunately, a young girl and family lost a loved one. And so let's start off there. This what you were asking about the Nevada laws. It is a DUI resulting in death is a Class B felony, which is the second highest crime you can be charged with, or in that category that you can be charged with there. He is facing a minimum of 2 years to 20 years in prison. I don't know his criminal history, if he has any. I hope he does not. I hope this was a one-off horrible decision. This is a kid who probably, to the best of my knowledge, worked his life off. My understanding is he had a friend who was killed in a car wreck, and he did, I think, a number 3 salute for him every time he scored, which makes this just a horrible decision. But yeah, going reportedly allegedly 156 and with a twice the legal limit. Those are horrible facts. When you get to if he is convicted, when you get to the sentencing phase of this, I haven't heard much about the family. There's going to be civil suits. There's going to be criminal suits. I hope, and this is not, the Raiders are obviously not obligated. They're not, the NFL. I would just hope, because my guess is whatever money, he's made a lot of money in his rookie contract, it's going to go to legal defense. A lot of money is going out the door quickly. I would like to see the NFL at Raiders secondary, the NFL number 1 stepping up and saying, hey, while no money can bring a life back, the NFL, one of their employees did this allegedly, and they can make some amends the best they can for the family and say, and the alleged stupidity of all this. From my understanding, the NFL gives you 24/7 cars, Ubers, they would bend over backwards to make sure none of their players drink and drive or drive while impaired by any means, whether it's painkillers, obviously they can't do drugs, but alcohol. It is just a tragic situation when so many other means are available. I was just in Vegas. You can't walk out of a casino without running into a cab.
Amen.
This is just one of those, in my legal world, I say preventable accidents. This is one of the most preventable accidents you will ever see. And it's just so sad.
Brendan Chain did when the DUI broke, it was bad enough. And Robbie, you are correct. It's a tragedy on many levels, but the family tragedy is the number 1. When I heard the number 156 today, it almost made me angry. I know DUI is preventable, as Robbie says, but to drive a car on a street at 156 miles an hour, allegedly, is almost with malice in my head. What did you think when you heard that number?
Yeah, it just made me sick, man. 156 sober driving down would be ridiculous. And to add that he was impaired, twice the legal limit, allegedly, on top of that. Look, we were all 22 once, and we did a lot of dumb stuff.
I did.
I did too. But to Robbie's point, the means that he had, the options that he had, it was obviously premeditated to get in the car because he had so many other options. So it's so sad. It's such a sad scenario, and the thing is, things like this happen all the time. He's in a different spotlight, and it gets brought, to public, and it's blasted. And now this guy, like Derek Carr said, he needs love right now. Like he made a really, really dumb decision. And like I said, a lot of 22-year-olds do that. Especially, I mean, I can't imagine being 22 and having millions of dollars, and thinking you're invincible. If any young kids can take something from this, is that it doesn't matter who you are or what your status is, you're not invincible, and you can't, you got to really think about the decisions you make, because it's the blink of an eye that somebody loses their life that was just completely unavoidable.
Raj, thank you, Brandon. Raj, we all know you're a Raider fan, and I will make a statement about the Raiders organization. The Raiders organization has almost a on the field mentality and a fan mentality, but the Davis family quietly have always been a very generous family. The Raiders organization and Mark Davis right now, what do they do in this situation? Or is there anything they can do in this situation? As Robbie said, do they become part of the solution? Or I don't know the Raiders have any obligation to, but I almost feel like they will. As a Raiders fan, where do you feel right now?
First of all, I did see some people on Twitter stating, "Oh, this is the life of the Raiders fan. This type of stuff happens." And thankfully, 98% of the people on Twitter blew those idiots up, because it doesn't matter about that. This 23-year-old girl and her dog, 3-year-old golden retriever named Max, burned alive. She was still alive in that fire. He was going 156 miles an hour in a residential area. Both of them were within blocks of their homes. Not only that, in September 2020, his girlfriend, Rudy Washington, took a video of him driving way too fast and put it on her YouTube video. They called it Wild Out Wednesdays. She said, "Slow down." And that was like her Snapchat. That was last September. I think probably when he got that car, because it was a 2020 Chevrolet Stingray. So a few things here. One, the Raiders are going to do the Raiders generally do the right thing. They were the first organization to hire, an African-American coach. They've been the first to do a lot of different things. An organization that doesn't care about the norm, whatever that means. Second, you guys remember Dante Stallworth? In 2009, he had a blood alcohol limit of, I wrote it down, 0.126 in Miami Beach, and he hit a construction worker named Mario Reyes. He ended up getting manslaughter. I can't remember the charge. He was sentenced to 30 days. He served 24, and he made a civil settlement with the family. Now, that was a different era, and now Dante Stallworth travels the country. He used to be at the NFL symposiums. I believe the last time he was at the rookie symposium was 2014. So this isn't something that the NFL, is new to. And I hate to say this, but it's Vegas. Of all the places, and you got a kid, I'm not making excuses. He's an idiot. And, he's going to end up where he belongs. But a 22-year-old from Montgomery, Alabama, who goes from there to Superstar University, thrown millions of dollars, moved to Vegas. He's still making an idiot decision, but, the odds are just kind of stacked against a good decision. Still, there's nothing that justifies 156 in a residential area. But, the point is, and Rob can expand on that, being the attorney, again, this is nothing new to the NFL. And, it's a different era now. 12 years later than Dante Stallworth. And obviously his circumstance, I think he hit a construction work that was on the side of the road, or, he wasn't going 156 and burned alive a 23-year-old girl and her dog. So the circumstances are certainly more extreme in Ruggs' case. But, did we learn anything? And if we haven't, then what can the Raiders do? The NFL should be on everyone, on humanity.
I believe, and I don't want to get this name wrong, because it was another, was it
Dwayne Goodrich?
Well, Randall, and then was it Leonard Little that also?
Leonard Little,
So Tennessee, We would be remiss if we didn't mention that Tennessee had 3 of these type accidents.
Yeah. He
Lynn
also,
Little was involved in a DUI running the red light.
yeah.
Dante Stallworth was involved in his accident. But the most egregious of one, and the guy that went to jail, was former Tennessee cornerback Dwayne Goodrich, who was going over 120 miles an hour on a Dallas interstate and hit, I believe it was state workers or workers working on the road at the time. So
Actually, Dave Hooker, who used to work in Knoxville, he and I were talking, and he told me a story about that. He was in prison for I think 4 years.
Yes,
and he was so embarrassed that his teammates would come to try to see him, and he would not see any of them. He just stayed in his jail cell. Was so embarrassed and felt so let down for all of the way he did to all his teammates. But getting back to the difference between Stallworth and this one, man, video. Y'all saw. I sent y'all that video. That video is horrible, and I think significant time is. So someone just asked how significant was the information was the gun was in his car. I don't know. I don't know Nevada's carry laws. I don't know if he had a permit for that. I haven't read anything about. Have y'all seen either one way or the other?
I do not believe he had a permit, Robbie, from what I was reading.
Yeah, they're pretty liberal in Nevada for the most part.
Yeah. So it could, because it's a felony, what he's going to be charged with. It could be firearm in possession of a felony while committing a felony. So it could be an aggravating factor. I haven't looked at his criminal record. My guess, though, is with that speed, that limit, that video, he's going to be doing some, like I said, significant time. Varies from everybody. A month would be significant to me. A year is not significant. The wild card, though, is the victims, the family. Because a prosecutor, a DA, any kind of, if it's a plea bargain, they have to get the victims to sign off on it. And in most occasions, or a judge will not approve it. So is the family forgiving? Do they want, and by no means are any of these things ever a money grab or a civil kind of grab. But I mean, that's our remedy. We don't have eye for an eye justice. So the civil system is what you do to recoup losses. And so how it all works out, it's all so fresh and so new. There's so many variables to guess what prison time or how much he's going to get and what the family pushes for. But my guess is he will see 2 years at least inside a prison cell, and whether it's day for day or you get time for good behavior, but he will not be playing football for the next 4 or 5 years would be my guess.
And Little and Stallworth played almost, immediately upon release. It seemed like they both came back and played, correct? Little was involuntary manslaughter. Now Vegas's laws are different. He had 2 felony counts: driving under the influence causing death or substantial bodily harm. Then on top of that, he got a reckless driving charge for what he did to his girlfriend. But the word there, the operative word is causing. That's not involuntary. And Las Vegas is, I'd venture to say it's one of the DUI capitals of the world. Yeah. And so the laws are going to be fairly strict there.
So to note that they do not have a vehicular homicide or a vehicular manslaughter statute. So it is just DUI resulting in death. So if anyone's wondering, if this happened in Tennessee, it would be vehicular homicide. And so that those words mean a lot and they carry a lot more weight in the sentencing. So Vegas does not have those statutes.
At this point, there's not a lot that we've covered it. And by the way, that's new friend of the show, Susan Howell, a friend of mine. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for supporting us. I don't know really how to wrap up this segment. When we needed to cover it, we've always said that we would not shy away from the truth in sports and what's happening in sports. But I've struggled with alcohol at points in my life, as many people do. And when you get behind the wheel and you drive, I knew it every single time. And when you drive 156 miles an hour, there is some intent to do that. It just doesn't randomly happen. I will say to the day I'm old and gray, it's one of the greatest regrets of my life is I never hurt anyone or I never caused an accident. But the fact that I did it is equally wrong. And prayers to the family. I don't even know how to end the segment other than the tragedy is the young lady right now. Anybody has anything else to say?
No, I mean, it's just just a needless tragedy.
Needless. But the one thing I will go back as we transition on, Robbie, you are right. There are thousands of people that play in the NFL that we never know of that are just great people. On that same team a couple of years ago, Jason Witten, the NFL, for all the money these 23, 24-year-old guys have, I think they act pretty well because I would have hated to have Brandon Chain money and been 22 years old. I mean, how would I have acted? So let's move on in the world of sports to a much better story and a much happier story. This week, the city of Atlanta finally gets its long-awaited championship. And I don my Braves hat with great pride. Heart was broken last year in the National League Championship Series, up 3-1 on the Dodgers. I felt like we was going to win the World Series if we got there against the Rays. Raj, you're a baseball guy. What happened with this team?
Magic. You got to have a certain element of magic every year. I don't think we'll ever see this again. We've never seen it before. I like to say that if the Dodgers had Mac Muncy and Kershaw and other guys, the series may have been different, but you talked about Acuna versus Derrick Henry. Well, Acuna got hurt 2 weeks before the trading deadline. Anthopoulos first went out and got Jock Peterson, who was wasting away in Chicago. That told the entire organization that, look, let's get after it. He got Soler for nothing, a career 220 guy. But when Soler hits the ball, it ended up in an apartment building this last game out of the stadium. Eddie Rosario was hurt and he traded for him. Duvall had been there before, another 215 guy, ends up leading the league in RBIs. Those four guys lengthened that lineup so much that, my wife said she's a huge Braves fan. She was 19 the last time they won, or 18 rather. My father-in-law was my age. He's now 70. Randall, you were probably 40 the last time they won it. But
hey, I will go ahead and add this gray beard. I was 29 years old and in the stadium the last time they won it. So I'm an old man, so I grew old waiting on another one.
I mean, and it's been 25 years. Last year for the Dodgers, I waited 32 years. But yeah, I mean, it's also a different baseball these days where bullpens, I mean everything. The Braves bullpen went from a weakness last year to good God this year. And, it's kind of funny. Most teams, the Dodgers, Astros, Braves, they all had two starters. And they're basically throwing everything else together. And, in the World Series, that may work well just because you haven't seen a lot of those guys on the other team. But really, no one hit well in this series. The Braves I think the Astros hit 2 home runs all series. The Braves just didn't make mistakes. They scored. They got hits with runners in scoring position. Their defense, especially their infield defense, is arguably the best in baseball. Freeman probably saves 38 runs by his stretches, which are amazing. It was magic this year. No one's ever done that. No one's ever gotten 4 guys at the deadline who, and they were better without Acuna. You can't just say, hey, add Acuna and we kill everybody. No, because if Acuna is healthy, they probably don't make the playoffs because they don't make those 4 deals. The interesting thing is going to be what they do next year, but who cares? My congratulations and salute to the Atlanta Braves, because I've never seen anything like that, and they were 100% deserving.
Robbie, I know you're not the biggest baseball guy in the world, but watching the World Series, were they ever a doubt that the Braves were almost a team of destiny?
Was there ever a doubt? Are you kidding me? You're an Atlanta fan. Of course, you're up 7-0. You're still sweating it. Like, how are you going to blow this? No, I think Raj tweeted it.
I think it happened. That Super Bowl has jaded everyone that has ever lived between Cobb County and Newman.
The Falcons didn't have Eddie Rosario, though.
I think Raj either tweeted or texted or something. If Acuna gets hurt on July 6th, the Braves aren't there. It's something along those lines. Like, it was just that timing, and then they got the new outfield that performed so well in the playoffs. It was an exciting run to watch, and I mean, beating Milwaukee, beating LA, then beating the Astros. That's a heck of a run for a team with I think from what I heard, the least amount of wins ever getting into the playoffs or something like that. But it was fun to watch. I'm happy for the city of Atlanta. I claim it as a quarter championship. I still haven't seen my main team win a championship, so I just get these quarter championships of teams I kind of like, or that I like, or they're at least regional that win. So just a sweet bit, not a sweet bit, just a funny bit of irony. And this is obviously I supported MLB's decision, and I still think it was the right decision. But the irony of it, and it's still funny though, the irony that MLB pulled the All-Star game out of Georgia, and then now the championship rests in Georgia, is just kind of funny.
It is. Brendan Chang, what did you think when Soler hit the ball in Game 6?
Man, what an at-bat. Like, it was magical. Like, top of the third, Fried's pitching a good game. He's doing what he's got to do to keep, runs down. No, I think he only had like 3 hits off of him in 6 innings, maybe 6 strikeouts or something like that. He's pitching a great game. And then Soler, this guy, he's just battling. He's timing that breaking ball, and then all of a sudden they leave a hanger. And the fastball. They leave a hanger. I mean, he's just battling. They leave a hanger, breaking ball across the middle, and he hits it into an apartment building across the street. I mean, that right there changed the entire momentum, obviously, of the game. But then it changes the whole schematics of the bullpen for Houston. So now they've got to go back to the drawing board. So now they're up in arms. They're trying to throw their best, combinations versus righties, lefties, all that, chess match, what goes on nowadays. And you just see the Braves see blood in the water, and the defense tightens up, the pitching gets better, the relievers, the closers come in. I mean, it was magic. It was like watching a symphony come together. Like, it was so cool to watch, man.
So in the pros, go ahead.
Oh, I just said, well said. That's exactly. I couldn't have said it any better. On the Soler at bat, I said the same thing to my wife. He's got him now. He fouled off. I think he swung and missed on like a fastball and on the breaking ball, and he fouled them all off. And
he's got the timing.
Yep.
Yeah,
he had him down. And real quick, I went to the World Series in Boston, Game 2 a few years ago. It was like 8 degrees. In Atlanta, the rain and everything. Why doesn't baseball at least cut 1 or 2 series per division? I know interleague they won't cut because it makes so much money, and ratings and revenue. But I mean, should baseball be played sometimes in November? Like that wasn't right, man. I mean, and Atlanta's a warm weather city.
How much time do we have? I can go on a hour rant on how to.
I think you've been on this subject on a couple of previous shows. I've seen several topics on this.
It's like they enjoy shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Double headers during the summer. Just play double headers.
Yeah.
All right. Let's finish this subject off. Everybody give me one memory from and I'll go last since I am Robbie's got quarter championships. I'm 55 years old. I've seen Tennessee win one national championship and the Braves win two now. So I've got three and I'm 55. So I hold them precious. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not a Lakers fan. I root for the University of Tennessee and the city of Atlanta. So if they don't get them, I don't count them. So I thought this was a great World Series, but we'll start and go around. Jane, what is your one memory from this World Series?
It's got to be the bat with Soler, man. I mean, that was the turning point. That was the put your fork in, it's done. Like it was such a fun chess match to watch between the pitcher and batter. And like I said, he started getting the timing down of everything. He was fouling off everything. And then you just knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. And when he hit it and he looks over and he does, I mean, it was awesome. I was like, that's it. They won it.
That was a no-doubter.
So. All right, Raj Mehta. You're not the Braves fan, but you're a baseball purist. What do you carry away from it?
From the World Series alone, I mean, along the same line. Well, the playoff run, the highlight of it's kind of funny. The Dodgers won two games that were both on freak anomalies. Bellinger's 3-run home run in the eighth off Luke Jackson, which was a highlight of our playoffs. And then Chris Taylor had to hit 3 home runs to beat him twice. That's why I wasn't confident. In terms of the Braves, it was like the first pitch of game one, and Soler went yak. I told my wife, I know the Charlie Morton injury shortly thereafter kind of made me back off my prediction, but I was like, dude, that's magic. That's destiny. The guy went yak on the first pitch, first at bat. So I just remember that and thinking, I picked the Braves in 5. I was wrong, but I'd have to go with that. I mean, what better way to set the tone?
Absolutely. Robbie Davis?
Yeah, Soler in game 6, like, you're sitting there and you're like, all right. And that's while I give baseball a lot of crap, generally, playoff baseball is very intense. And it was one of those, you're watching it, all right, maybe the first team that scores is going to win. And then it was like just a stake and just slam it in their heart. And just the way he hit it and just looked at it, it's out of the damn park, like literally out of the park. And it was just like, yeah, okay, like we got you. And then, so that was the moment. That's when you look back, every Braves highlight next year is going to open with that swing. Like that's the one.
Absolutely.
That's the swing of the season.
That's right.
Let's go Braves. The whole world is so happy. Suck it, Houston. Nobody likes you. Hey, and back to Houston real quick. People called them a dynasty. Well, they cheated and they beat the Dodgers in 7 games, including in LA, where they ripped off the Dodgers multiple times, including in Game 7 against Yu Darvish. They lost twice in the World Series and twice in the ALCS. You call that a team of a dynasty? I thought a bunch of cheaters. Yeah, exactly. A dynasty of 0, man. They
Hey,
it's just so fitting.
The Marlins even have 2.
Yeah, I know, and they didn't cheat either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston deserves all of this. I hope they put the parade on every freaking channel in Texas because they're pretty much done. I think a lot of guys are free agents, Carlos Correa, among others. Congratulations, you cheated. And the only thing you lost aside from the games is respect.
Good luck getting free agents to come there. Like, who wants to play in that toxic environment? It's one thing to be, hated like the Yankees or Red Sox and like some Northeast, but a lot of people you go to, say, Oakland, a lot of people come to watch away teams come to watch the Yankees. No, Houston's hated across the country in every ballpark. They are hated.
So yeah, sorry.
Go
ahead. No, I was going to say you disrespected, like America's sport, America's pastime. And I mean, that was like the ultimate like penalty that you can do when you cheat like that to win, which it's so hard to win a World Series, as everyone knows. I mean, teams go decades and decades, or even in the Cubs' case, centuries without winning a championship.
And they didn't get. It's not alleged cheating. It's they cheated and they admitted like that.
They 100% cheated.
Yeah, it's like
baseball.
That's
the ultimate FU disrespect.
Yeah,
and in such a game that has so much integrity and respect and moral value, like everything about baseball, like
which
life
brings
lessons.
to the point: how in the hell do they still have their World Series? Why aren't they stripped of that title?
I don't know.
So
give Reggie Bush his Heisman back.
Yeah.
As the lifelong, I went to my first game in 1978. I'm gonna give myself just a minute here. By the way, Jonathan Taylor with a touchdown up the middle. Give myself a minute to go through a couple of times that I got super emotional. One, in 2017. Let me bring Rob.
I think Randall's having a little technical difficulties. Robbie, can you hear me?
Yep. We'll run the show.
Right.
Well, here comes Randall back. Well, maybe not. So
no, that whole series, man. Like it takes magic to win a World Series because it's not always the best team, obviously, throughout the season. So I thought that was throughout the whole playoffs, the run, everything was just pretty incredible.
Well, and how young the Braves are, and they should be an exciting team moving forward.
Yeah,
can y'all
I agree.
We can.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, well, Roger's going to have to wait because I'm going to get this moment in because I've thought about it all week.
Go for it.
In 2017, Freddie Freeman was a bridge to the teams of Chipper Jones, Brian McCann, those guys. They lost 97 games. I mean, you don't lose 100 baseball games. But that team was a young Swanson, a young Freddie Freeman. Atlanta is not the franchise it is today without Freddie Freeman. And I don't know of any other player that represents one franchise more than Freddie Freeman represents the Braves. I've thought about it all week, and I cannot come up with any elite athlete and go, that guy is Mr. Rams, or that guy is Mr. Cardinals, or that guy is Mr. So I think it was special for Freddie. The other was in a post-game press conference, and I sat up till 1:30 in the morning and watched every second of that. I may have even poured a Sprite over my head just for the fun of it. But Big Papi, David Ortiz, who I'm not the biggest fan of, doing the post-game interview, Max Fried was up there. He said, they're talking to him. He goes, I love this game, Max Fried. He goes, you are an elite pitcher. He goes, and if you ever doubt you're an elite pitcher, play those 6 innings on and watch them. because that looked like Randy Johnson in his prime. He said, you leave here tonight and you go be an elite pitcher. And I thought that was one of the coolest moments I'd ever seen in sports, that this guy who knows is not, I doubt he ever met Max Fried before tonight, but he's a Hall of Famer, and he took his time on national media to say, go do now what you just did then and be special. And I thought that was a real cool moment. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I know Fried was in a little bit of a slump there for a little while and struggling. So to come out, like I said, I mean, he did exactly what he had to do in Game 6 to close him out. I thought just the whole thing, like Robbie said, I mean, it was magic. It was just incredible to watch. I don't watch a whole lot of baseball, but when it comes to playoff baseball, I start watching pretty closely.
Yeah.
That was fun.
What Big Papi said in a nutshell is what you do. That's life. Like, try, lose, learn, and win. That's what you do. Like Fried got beat up early in the playoffs. He wasn't having to. He tried. He lost. He learned what he could do better, and then he won. And what a masterful performance on the biggest stage he could be on Game 6. And he pitched masterfully. As far as Freeman goes, yes, he is synonymous with the Braves. They've got a contract negotiation coming up. This is one of those where, hey, the Braves got to do their thing. Freeman's got to do his thing. He's going to test the open market. I don't think there should be hard feelings any which way. Freeman just delivered his World Series, and if he can go and if someone overpays for him, hey, that's his family that he's got to think of. If Atlanta can make it work and he stays, good for everyone. But there should be no hard feelings, regardless of what happens during the contract negotiations.
So there was a reporter asking him about it, Robbie, in the celebration locker room, and his comment was basically, if the Braves screw this up, they've got to be the dumbest organization ever. So he was basically
He's
saying,
not going anywhere.
Yeah,
No. The Braves aren't dumb.
And that is money wise, and so you're right. He deserves to be paid. You're completely.
White guy named Larry stays there forever, face of the franchise. White guy named Fred stays there forever, face of the franchise. I mean, those are 1950s white guy names, and I can be racist because I'm brown. By the way, he's not going anywhere, man. The guy's an icon for all of the South. He would take less to stay with the Braves. Secondly, you remember there's something about Mary where Matt Dillon gets his teeth done and they're like these super white veneers? Like, what's up with Freeman, man? I can see myself off those teeth, bro. I'm like, wow, like, dude, he are those real? They look like baleen.
They are white veneers.
Fielders can't see the ball coming off of his bat. Look at his teeth.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I saw like a time lapse of his years, and it wasn't till like 2019 that those pearly whites just automatically appeared.
He's got a better grill in the way.
Yeah.
His wife is the same way. I mean, his wife is beautiful, but now she looks a little bit more, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like a real housewife than she used to look like a natural housewife. I don't know if you guys saw his wife in the stands, but I was like, wow, Botox much?
There's a E60 about Freddie Freeman that I challenge everybody to go watch. He lost his mom very early in life, and it really changed who he was. So, good deal. And as a Braves fan, I'm so excited, and I'm just 3 championships in 55 years. I'm going to hold on to it for a little while.
It's pretty awesome.
Congratulations. I am happy for you.
I don't want to. I want to talk real quick about, and it's framed in the form of the University of Tennessee announced today that they were not self-imposing a bowl. Tennessee's probably going to qualify for a bowl if they can beat South Alabama and Vandy. the first reaction was, well, the school must not feel like there's much to it. But the truth of it is, does the NCAA even have any power anymore? And it feels like Tennessee went, yeah, we know we messed up. We would have probably imposed a ban if we didn't think we were going to get to a bowl, but we are. So let's deal with it some other way. Robbie, was this just Tennessee going, we want to go to a bowl, and I don't think you can make us not go to one?
No, not really. This was the new reality of what conferences look like. So the powers that be at Tennessee, they called one office and one office only. And they called the SEC office and they said, this is what we found. Are we going to get in trouble with you guys? And if they said no, then they said, okay, because do not believe for a second the NCAA wants to, challenge any Power 5 program anymore, or by all means level sanctions. They are just sitting in the corner being like, as long as I can collect my check, I am happy. They are, was it Milton in Office Space is down in the basement? They're like, as long as I'm down there collecting my check, I am good.
Have you seen my stapler?
Yeah, I may or may not have my stapler, but that's all I've got. But yes, no,
I could burn the building down.
Yeah, Tennessee nor any school should be scared whatsoever of the NCAA because they do not matter. They have no teeth. Hey, all you have is your basketball tournament, and you don't think maybe perhaps the conferences could get together and form their own 68 team basketball tournament and sell it to CBS, ESPN, maybe Amazon, Google? You think they'd be interested in that? So yeah, no, this was a strictly just finally Tennessee reading the room, being like, stop listening to the NCAA. They have no power. Ohio State went with it. They fired Jim Tressel for no freaking reason over tattoos, which is perfectly fine. Like, Ohio State made a mistake. Tennessee made that mistake. USC has clearly made that mistake. Like everyone's made that mistake. Like, you see, hell, LSU's like, we've got a basketball coach caught on video saying, yes, we're paying players, but we don't care. You can't do it as long as the SEC will not take away our SEC money. It doesn't matter.
Still employed.
Yep.
Raj, does that bother the USC in you?
I mean, that was a different era. What bothered me more was Oregon. That was 15, 17 years ago. They got USC. They made an example out of them. When you look back, the best team on the field was the best team on the field. Reggie Bush's stepfather supposedly took money. Who gives a shit? I mean, excuse my language. Oregon has done so many vile things, and they hit USC with a lack of institutional control. They had to make an example out of someone, and they made it out of USC. With Tennessee, I agree. I mean, honestly, I think they just wanted a reason to get rid of Pruitt, who was a dummy and who nobody respected, it seems. And you claim that, we're investigating this, and the NCAA is as well. Maybe there was nothing, that or too wrong, if you will. And they got Pruitt fired, and they obviously got a guy who seems like a much better coach. And Rob's right as well. What's the NCAA going to do? Not much. So, no, I don't want to be bitter about anything. That was a different era. Maybe it's one thing if Tennessee is Alabama and they're 14-0 every year and winning championships, then I'd be like, throw the book at them. Get rid of them. But they're not. So, I think it was just a move to get Pruitt fired. Maybe not literally, but I think that had something to do with it.
Brendan, you're an Ohio State guy. Literally, Robbie kind of asked the question. Do you think it justifies the Pete Carroll time at SC, the Jim Tressel time? What is the new NCAA?
The new NCAA is nothing but like Uncle Sam. They just sit there and collect taxes and checks all day. They have zero power. They know they have zero power. Of this new era of the Power Five and these super conferences getting together. They know they better keep their mouth shut and sit in the basement and cash their checks when they come in, because if they start to cause any controversy whatsoever with one of the big dogs, we will take ball and we will go elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And that will be the end of the NCAA in football for sure, and probably other sports to follow. So NCAA is nothing but a taxation without representation in this point.
Well done.
Very well put, Robbie.
Wait.
Well
Just let me say one thing. Like to know how, like, to express how weak-footed you stand in both
Quicksand.
the law and standing. They lost 9-0 in the Supreme Court. Do you know how wrong you have to be to lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court? Like you're so out there. Like there's no legal basis for your argument. What you're arguing, like, it's so bad.
Like murder lost 8-1, but like the NCAA loses 9-0.
Exactly. They better just shut up and cash their checks. And not say a
exactly.
word.
I have this vision of
can.
this Ole Miss.
They're like the
kind of guy.
Seinfeld episode where he's getting like dollar checks from Japan. He's like, just keep endorsing them. Like that's NCAA at this moment. Like, I just keep getting these checks.
Exactly. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
That's a great episode.
That is. I have this vision of like that Colonel Reb guy that used to be at Ole Miss, sitting on the front porch going, "Did the mailbox money come yet, honey?"
yeah.
And that's his whole life. So
Yeah.
got to move on, running out of time. There are a few games around the country I want to talk about in college football and professional football. Number one, I want to start with Hugh Freeze and the Liberty. I don't even know what they are. Flames, I think maybe, are going to Ole Miss. Does anybody besides me find this game just intriguing? Robbie Davis, come on. You like a good story like I do.
Oh, I find it whenever actually I was filling out my pick'em yesterday and I saw this and I was like, oh wow. And then I was like, I looked up Liberty's record. I was like, oh, Liberty's like 7-2 or something like that. And I was like, oh, they're bringing a good squad into Oxford. Yes, no, I'm super intrigued with this. This would be because Lane's going to be all arrogant and go for him 4th down, and then Hugh Free. Like, this is just a battle of egos, and I'm all for it. Give me my popcorn. I don't know much about what Liberty's team is, but I think they were +9. I think they hold it close. I will take the points in this one and watch it with intrigue.
I think the best bet may be over 67.5 because I think both sides are going to score it every opportunity. I mean, they're going to be out trying to outsmart them themselves. Shane, what's your thought of this game?
No, I totally agree. It's get your popcorn type game. I love watching games like this where I have no love or heart on the sleeve for any team. I can just watch a good football game and sit back and watch somewhat of a chess match. But I do like the over 67.5. I think it's going to be a shootout. And I will be on Robbie's side. I will take Liberty +9. I think it's going to be maybe a 3-point game here.
Raj Mehta.
I think a lot of people like Liberty because of Malik Willis, the old Auburn transfer, and they had a great year last year. This year they've lost to Syracuse, who's no good, and Louisiana Monroe, who is no good. Do I think obviously there's going to be a little bit extra oomph in this game with Hugh Freeze coming back? Sure, but that also means that Lane Kiffin's going to want to beat him even more badly than prior. Such a thing is possible. Ole Miss is smarting a little bit. I think it's a trap game. I think Ole Miss wins and wins going away. So do the opposite what I say, and you win money.
Good point. Next game up. I did not put Ole Miss on upset alert, but I will put the next game on upset alert. Michigan State, Purdue. Can Sparty get back up against a very good Purdue defense? Let's start this time with our Big Ten expert, Brendan James.
I love this matchup this weekend. This is going to be a big test and really see where Michigan State's at, because Purdue is one of those teams, and they've always been in the Big Ten, that can win a game like this where they just completely ruin someone's season. It is at Purdue, and it's a tough place to play. I really, really like Purdue in this one for the upset. It's gonna be tough. I don't think Michigan State can run the ball as willingly as they would want to. I think Purdue might pull an upset here, so which would obviously be worse for Ohio State coming into that Michigan State game. But I'm still on the side of Purdue here.
I agree with you. Last week, my best bet, my bet your nuts, was the over in that Michigan State game. You might hear me in on this game on the under, just a little maybe foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. Defense, baby.
Robbie,
And mine was Michigan State.
So this is a game where it's terrifying, because you take what you think and then you look at what Vegas thinks, and Vegas is begging you to take Michigan State when they think Purdue's going to win. And so coming off a huge rivalry weekend, man, I really like Mel Tucker, though, but Brandon's right. Purdue's that team that, man, if you can go back in the last decade of Big Ten sports, Purdue always has that dagger against.
They screw somebody every year.
So I'm going with. I think it happens again. I think Purdue's going to win.
Raj Mehta.
I picked Michigan State as my bet your nuts, I believe, last week. I also liked Ohio State, and that didn't work out so well. Yes, if anybody's ever been to Purdue, it's a beautiful campus. But if you're going up like I-65 towards Indy, you get off at an exit and you make a left and you go like 20 miles and you end up in West Lafayette. It's in the middle of nowhere. When teams show up there, they all know that. You know, it's like this is their home turf. And I agree, they play extremely well at home. I don't know anybody that gets pumped up like, yeah, we're going to Purdue this weekend, let's go. Even when they were good, you know, Drew Brees style, nobody get pumped up to go to West Lafayette, Indiana. And they utilize that. Kudos. Being said, Michigan State's passing game lacks, but Kenneth Walker is amazing. Purdue is 9th in the Big 12, 13, whatever they are, against the run. If Michigan State, Mel Tucker's a smart guy. If they just run the ball, they'll win this game. But if they try to get crazy and throw the ball like Penn State and Illinois were in overtime, then they could be in trouble.
Good point. I like that run scenario. I really do. I think it's a grinded out game, and I like the under big time in this game. I would put Wake Forest on upset alert, but the undefeated 9th ranked Demon Deacons are a 3-point underdog to North Carolina. If Wake wins this game, does it carry any significance nationally since North Carolina came in as the media darling, now 4-4? Robbie, you open their thoughts on this game.
Even though I do have kind of Carolina blue on, no, it doesn't matter. Look, there's actually at the moment only 2 home fields that matter in the ACC, and that's Clemson, Virginia Tech. And yes, that's a shot at FSU. You guys don't matter either. Like, your stadium's empty. It's just those, like, yeah, winning a road game at UNC, a road game at Duke, a road game at Wake. They're all the same stadiums. It's like playing high school football in Texas. It doesn't matter. There's no fans in the stands. It's just coaching. So, no, I don't give credit for Wake beating in UNC on the road or at home. It's just, yeah, preseason hype is exactly what it is. It's preseason hype. Nothing on the field to justify it. No, just, yeah, win, lose, move on. ACC's out of the discussion.
Brandon Chang.
Yeah, I mean, Wake Forest they're undefeated. They were a plug-in for the top 25. That's it. I mean, obviously, you look where Vegas is at. UNC's favored 2.5, 3 points. I expect UNC to probably pull this one out, and Wake will drop out of the top 25 and fall in their wake, if you will.
Raj Mehta. By the way, it's 21-7. Colts over the Jets currently.
We could do a section on Dave Clawson, how he works everywhere except for UT somehow.
By the way, fantasy-wise, and this was not alcohol-aided nor Thursday night impetus, but I did switch from Justin Herbert, who the last 2 games has been substandard, to Carson Wentz as my starter because I have Michael Pittman. The first 2
you did
touchdowns,
huh?
I did. Am I playing you?
Yeah, you're playing me. I didn't see that late
Oh,
switch.
God.
It was
Damn,
it was
Raj,
late.
you play Brandon. That's so lucky.
Late sub.
He's got 2
We're
touchdowns.
both rushing. Hines, and he's got 1 on a shovel pass. They're running all over him, and then Mike White, the guy from the Jets that can actually throw and keep him in, got hurt. So
White
I was hoping it would be a game, and we could see them throwing, but it doesn't look like that, and I may have messed up. Back to North Carolina and Wake. It's the battle of the Sams, man, and I like Sam Hartman a lot more than I like Sam Howell. Keaton Slovis, I've said this before, is the most overrated quarterback in college football. Sam Howell is right behind him. It's kind of funny. The common opponents they've played, they've kind of had the same result. I still, to be an underdog at 9th in the country, it's down to 2.5. I mean, what is that, man? I mean, you've got to feel some disrespect going into that game, and I like Wake. I don't, Sam Hartman is a hell of a quarterback. 22 TDs, 3 picks, quarterback rating of 175, all much better than Sam Howell. So, I like Wake just because I feel like they're getting disrespected.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
the captain of my draft team's king is Pittman, and so far tonight, he's not burning it up. So, I'd like to see that change. Let's move on to the next game. One of just local interest. I'm going to say Tennessee beats Kentucky. Has anybody on the bandwagon with me, or am I just dreaming? Brandon James?
I agree, man. I think the Vols pull it off here. It's a pick 'em right now. Last I looked, I think the Vols have steadily improved. I see Vols winning this thing probably by a touchdown. So,
Robbie Davis, can you believe we're even talking about Tennessee beating a top 25 team?
No, I cannot. I've said this many times through the course of the season. I believe, as of today, I was wrong about Heupel. I think he's the coach that not necessarily Tennessee needed, but he's a good fit. And go into Lexington against Mark Stoops, who's a really, really, really good coach with a hard job, and to be favored. And if they win, and then assuming South Alabama and Vandy gets you to that would be what, 7-5?
Yeah.
That's a fantastic first year with this schedule.
And you see a couple of bowls banding over around. I think we're going to get a big time opponent that is not having a big time year. I've seen a couple of things with Clemson and Charlotte, a couple of things with Wisconsin and Nashville. So
I've seen the Outback Bowl against Iowa. I've seen as much as that.
Somebody's going to get a very excited fan base.
Yeah.
It's going to fill up a stadium. Roger Meta, Tennessee, Kentucky.
I mean, why is Kentucky ranked exactly? They beat a bad Florida team and a bad LSU team barely. I always say this, it's 4 to 5 teams that are worth something. The rest is a dog and pony show. Kentucky is not a ranked team. They're not that good. You know, Hendon Hooker, Tennessee, one thing Kentucky can do is run the ball. But if memory serves, Tennessee's not exactly terrible against the run. Kentucky should have lost to Chattanooga. Let's not forget that. Now, I know that was any given Saturday, and, we really can't. The transitive property doesn't exist if the, Chattanooga were to play Tennessee. But, I don't see it with that team. And Tennessee seems like they have a history of going in there and just kind of smacking them in the face like, hey, you have basketball for the most part. We have football.
Whoa.
That's it.
Whoa.
For the most part. I mean, 30 national championships to 2 or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm saying for the most part.
Rick Barnes will tell John Calipari he has something different to say about that.
Last 2 years, 3 years, you guys have been good. Bruce Pearl was even good, until he got kicked out.
Bruce Pearl didn't even have a winning record against Kentucky. I think
I know,
Barnes
but he was good. He was a good
Barnes
coach.
was like 9-5 against Kentucky.
Kentucky's good as winning a national championship. Tennessee's good as making the Sweet 16.
Next week, we're going to start talking college basketball. So, little early talk. I did want to hit on a couple of NFL games real quick. We're over time, but we'll wrap it up. Packers Chiefs. We get to see what the Packers may be in 22. The debut of Jordan Love. Anybody interested in seeing Jordan Love? Robbie Davis.
I don't care about that. I do care about what, if anything, the NFL is going to do on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. If Goodell does not come down hard on him, then I'm not sure what all this was about. He allegedly lied to the Packers, lied to the NFL about his vaccination status, broke protocol that everyone else is following. He can't get to a new set of rules. If I'm Goodell, I sit him for the rest of the year and fine the Packers $1 million for Spygate, for cheat, for all these little. What they did to the Patriots, what they did to the Titans, for Bud Adams flipping the bird, that's just people being in the motion. This was a plotted out, designed thing to endanger people's health. So Goodell better come down hard. If he doesn't, it's a double standard, and I think this is the way Goodell starts to lose his reputation and his job, because this was blatantly against the rules and against what he designed to set out to keep players and fans safe. So I don't care about the game. I don't care about the game. I care about what Goodell does.
I know, but here's the thing. Goodell is not pulling the strings. It's all the owners of the teams that are pulling Goodell strings. He's just a puppet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what is going on here is it comes back down to the business of things in big money markets and TV ratings. The Packers are nothing without Aaron Rodgers on TV right now. I don't see Goodell doing anything harsh whatsoever. I see him rolling over. I see the owners pulling rank here, and I see TV money and all that coming in. It is going to be the same old good old boy, roll it under the rug type of deal, and it'll be a slap on the wrist at best.
But remember, Green Bay doesn't have an owner. They're owned by the community.
Again, I don't think that affects anything
Fair
at
enough.
all.
Yeah.
Raj Meta.
You know, he lied for all intents and purposes. He intentionally deceived. When he was asked if he was vaccinated, he said he was immunized. Nobody thought any different back then. He's a Cal Berkeley guy, originally played college in community college at Idaho, marrying a Hollywood star, and all the liberals in Hollywood. I'm shocked by all this. I mean, the quarterback is surrounded by everyone. He's the team leader. You put everyone's health at risk. I mean, even those that are vaccinated, there's a chance, of still. I can't even think of the word because my wine is pretty good. But transmission. Yeah, I just can't believe he would do such a thing. And Goodell is limp. I mean, he does nothing. But they're going to sweep this under the rug, and I agree with Rob. They shouldn't. I mean, this is a team leader. This is a guy who put a lot of people at risk, and he intentionally deceived the world. And that's not acceptable.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I agree with you guys on that point. I'm just saying what I believe is going to happen with the NFL just because of
Probably
how
nothing.
it's ran. Exactly. And it'll be a slap on the wrist, and all these other headlines that are going on in the NFL will take precedent. That's just how that business works, unfortunately.
They find the Patriots what $500,000 and draft picks for them putting a whatever the measurement was less than a football on a game they were up 41-7.
Yeah, like a quarter of a pound of pressure less or something.
Like you got to come in hard on this. You find the Titans $250,000 for Bud Adams flipping the bird to Houston.
If the Packers were not in the race at this point, then I could see something like that happen to where it was, just make an example. But because they're somewhat still in the playoff race, and I just don't see it.
He's so arrogant. It makes me nauseous.
If this was
that's Aaron Rodgers, though.
Yeah, if this was Terrell Owens would be suspended for 8 games.
Exactly.
Bryant, yeah.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers he's just so arrogant, it makes me sick.
He is.
And you're absolutely right.
He's such a D-bag. Like, I do not like that guy. Like, his personality, like, he just walks around like he's better than everybody. And
he really does.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He backs it up on the field. Like, he's one of the best quarterbacks we've seen, in a decade, top 10, 12 or whatever. But it's just unfortunate that this happens, and people, even in this day and age, still get special treatment regardless of what.
Well, we're watching. Carson Wentz is on the field here now, so he's unvaccinated, but he admitted it, and so when he goes to the sidelines, he has to put a mask on. He has to sit in different quarterback.
It's a different protocol.
It's okay. It is okay to be unvaccinated if you choose to be so. But you have to follow those rules. You can't lie about it and put people at risk when they assume you are vaccinated. And that's the
100% agree. Yeah, it's not about the choice of it.
Right. It's
if
about
you want to choose, it's just follow the rules of your decision. Like,
be honest and just those are the rules you have to follow.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys, one more game we're going to talk about. Also, there's a breaking story out of Athens that I want to interrupt for just a minute. It's a huge story.
Breaking news.
Georgia's leading sacker, potential first rounder, projected as a top 10 pick, Adam Anderson, has been indefinitely suspended from the Georgia football team and is being investigated for a assault of a sexual nature after the Florida game. It sounds very bad for Georgia, and this was a stalwart of this defense. So,
wow.
It was a rape allegation.
Yes.
Right.
She said back in Athens between 12 and 7 a.m. when they went back to Athens, she woke up and he was raping her after drinks.
That is a huge story. Arguably Georgia's best defender, potential top end pick.
That guy is fast.
I got a question for you two lawyers. Like, is that not like the hardest allegation to defend or believe or vice versa? Like, it's he said, she said. Like, I mean, aside from evidence initially, like obviously the male gets, you know, guilty until proven innocent initially. What do you guys think about that? Like, how does that process typically work?
Well, I'll let Rob finish. Yeah, it's a different era. Back in the day, everyone's seen the program. It was swept under the rug. He said, she came to the house. She drank. She asked for it. I mean, that's ludicrous to me. Nowadays, you know, there are witnesses. There's a rape kit involved, which I'm sure happened. You know, there's a number of things involved, and the law is almost as I believe it should be. You don't want to say the benefit given to the person that makes the allegation, but in this particular case, it's hard not to. I'm not phrasing that well, and Rob will be more eloquent than I. But no, you know, I think we have evolved from the he said, she said point. Period is my point.
Yes.
Whether that be again the witnesses on the scene, those that are willing. You know, back in the day, even the local cops would sweep it under the rug. That doesn't happen anymore. And like I said, the hospital involved. I'm sure she reported it, so there's a rape kit involved. So you know, innocent until proven guilty. But sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. And again, it's just an allegation. So we'll see. But like I said, Rob will be far more eloquent on this than I.
Well, so there's two different aspects of this, I think. I think there's the suspension of the football team and the alleged crime in action. So I like, and it's just like, let's assume it's flipped, or if it's and there's no easy way to describe this, but if it's not male on female, or if it's female on female, or if it's female versus male, well, you know, like, all right, so it's what you think, right? So hey, he came up and he had sex with me while I was asleep. Well, does he know you're asleep? Like, I mean, because I know in I don't want to get too much of my personal life, but yes, there's been times where it just happens. People fall. I mean, like that things happen, and so is that a non-consensual encounter? And so it's very tough to figure out what someone wants. Like I've heard, you know, and I've defended cases. I've sued people both on sides of the fence. Like, oh, I wanted to say no, but I couldn't say no. Well, okay, well then, and so and again, I've been on the like, okay, there's a power dynamic, and where I'm suing the person that was in the power. Also on the other side, like, well, how's that person going to know you said no if you didn't say no? Like, what's your subjective feeling, and how do you put that out? So the long story short, that big answer to your question is, it is very, very tough. And that's why you proceed with caution, you suspend, investigate, because you can't do the opposite. Let them play and investigate. And if it comes back your facts are wrong, then goes out. So you have to suspend, investigate, see what happens, and then let them come back and play, or not let them play.
I would think, you know, that's got to be obviously one of the toughest things to defend, you know, in court, but at the same time, you know, to pass judgment one way or another, because I'm sure there's been several cases throughout that have been, you know, judged one way or another, prejudged one way or another, where you don't want to put someone out to make them not want to, you know, call someone or tell someone that something happened because
absolutely
of that situation.
Well, Yeah, I'm not gonna. I was gonna make a joke.
You know what I'm saying? So,
But
I don't know. It's just
recently,
it's
there was
got to be a really
high-profile
tough.
case in Knoxville with a player, A.J. Johnson, who spent 3 years in court, and he was acquitted, who is now currently the Alexander Johnson. And I believe he changed his name intentionally. That is a very successful NFL player with the Denver Broncos that lost 3 years of his playing career. At the end of the day, if a grown man, just like the Henry Ruggs situation, he needs to take responsibility. So we'll let the court play it out. But my point is bringing it up. That's a huge blow on the field to the nation's #1 team.
It is.
And you hate to hear it. And you hope it's not what is being reported. But let's move on to we've really got we've had a jam-packed show tonight. I mean,
It's
jam-packed.
We could go on for another 45 minutes.
Yeah,
at least.
I haven't even got to half my notes yet.
Yeah, we're trying to get under 100 minutes on our iTunes account. So I want to go ahead and move on to my favorite segment, Bet Your Nuts. Bet Your Nuts is my favorite segment of the show. I hit last week. You already heard mine. My Bet Your Nuts. Michigan State, Purdue under Raj Mehta. Robbie, I expect a double prediction out of you. I want a NASCAR prediction too. Raj Mehta.
I'm not super comfortable in this because I'm not a big fan of Bo Nix, but Auburn has shown an ability to get things done, and I think A&M is the most overrated team ever. They were as high as like 5th in the country. Calzada's no good. A&M's almost a 5-point favorite. I'll take Auburn on the road. I think they won. One common opponent they had was Arkansas, I believe. And I think Auburn won at Arkansas, by 15 when Arkansas was ranked. And A&M lost to Arkansas, if memory serves, which it rarely does. Yes, they did at home. Transitive property doesn't exist, but I'm going Auburn. I think the public will bet it up a little bit, and I'll take Auburn in the points.
Brendan Chain, are you following me to West Lafayette?
I do love your Bet Your Nuts, but I'm actually going to follow you and your boy RD on the Vols. I bet your nuts that the Vols win over Kentucky. That is my Bet Your Nuts. I've
That's
seen
a nice
Hooker. I love it. It's a pick 'em
now. Right now it's Tennessee -1. I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em. So I will take the Vols all day there.
All right, Robbie Davis. If I don't leave here knowing who's going to win the NASCAR championship, I'm going to feel cheated.
Well, so this is one of the most exciting finales that you're going to see in racing. You have Kyle Larson, who coming back from the brink, and you know what? I hate what he did, and I don't know if I think he should be back, but I do have enjoyed him being the second chance he's gotten, how great he's been this year. And you have Chase Elliott. They are both teammates on Hendrick Motorsports. And so you have teammates battling each other for the championship. So Hendrick Motorsports has got the championship in the bag. This is which driver is going to win. Larson is plus 190. Elliott's plus 350. Man, for value, I don't see Larson losing, but I think I'm going to bet Chase Elliott, even though I've been on Larson all year long. So I think Chase Elliott brings it home. And then I'm with you guys. I take Vols -1. I think they go up to Lexington in the cold weather and they win. And then this runs 3 or 4 victories in a row, and the Vols have a good end to the season. But if you don't want to get greedy, Larson's a good pick too. Both of these drivers are really good picks. And this is if you don't watch racing, you want to tune into one race this year. They're in Phoenix. It's going to be a long track. It is going to be exciting.
Do you not think that Elliott and Larson chop pot before the race? They're like, who cares? Let's go.
Oh
We'll split.
no. This
Chop
is
Yeah, chop the pot. Chop the winnings.
You gotta
50
explain it
So-
to me, dude.
Illegal in
So-
your fantasy league.
Chop pot.
Leprechaun.
That's
So-
a poker term. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Raj knows what it is. He
Ah.
split the pot with Blake. He knows. He's a little
Yeah, you
What?
did chop pot with Blake. That's
yeah,
right.
so-
2 years ago.
I'm not a
Okay.
leprechaun.
Okay.
Blake may be, but I'm not a leprechaun.
never mind. I'm just because Hamlin's the third base. Hamlin and Elliott hate each other right now. So I think Hamlin will do everything to make Elliott lose. So I'm going Kyle Larson, even though it's terrible odds at plus 190, but that's what Larson and the Vols.
All right. Well, I got an update before we go to our final closing segments. My dog runs my team 42.4. Field of Dreams 0.
11 seconds left. I got my double TD. When's the
I have
pick?
no
It
one
got
playing
reviewed.
Don't
Hey,
act
Pittman.
like that. Where like I
Hey,
have
by
people
the way,
saying.
I wanted my double TD, and that's all I wanted. I may lose, but I sat.
You're gonna
Herbert.
lose.
I mean,
can we not get a trade to go through in this league? What is
What is
that?
going on with that?
I tried,
even
but
seen
Randall
the
was
trade.
too much of a wuss.
I
I
haven't
only
even
talk
seen
trash
any
when I actually
trades.
play sports. I don't play sports anymore, so fantasy-wise, I'm like, yeah, my team's gonna win.
Final thoughts, and we will discuss trades next week still. You can't get one through in this league. I tried to make one with
Randall.
I'm happy to let one through. I just haven't seen an email or anything on veto
Do you
or
know your
four.
password yet?
I gave
Yes, I've got it all situated now.
I gave Randall Hopkins, and he wanted Cordero Patterson. It was a fair trade, man, and he got scared. He's like,
Well, I tried to trade.
I made this trade last year and I lost. I mean,
I
if you're
tried to
scared
trade my whole
then
team
don't
to
trade.
Randall for Randall's whole team. 3-3 teams going back and forth. That doesn't get more fair than that.
And Lenny
Randall
started
doesn't
texting
like
me.
trading.
Lenny started texting me that I was a mockery to the league. My final thoughts I go back to Atlanta. Oh, let me go around. First of all, that's so rude of me.
No, you go first. You go first.
Yeah, it's your
Okay.
You
show.
go first.
My final
Let's
thought
go.
goes back to Atlanta. You know, we watch sports, and we love it. And that's the reason we sat in here for an hour and a half on Thursday nights this night, and we do this. I don't root for the best franchise. I decided when I was 8 years old that Atlanta I had been to. I think that's how I become an Atlanta fan. I'd been to Atlanta one time with my parent, and I went, wow, that's a place I know where it is. Dallas might have well be a foreign land to an 8-year-old. And I've lived and died with the Braves, the Hawks, the Falcons. And you could not have picked worse franchises to grow up with. I mean, the Falcons were the worst team in the NFL. The Braves were horrible. The Hawks had a nice run, but never near a championship. So, a grown man should not have been excited as I was, but I put in the group text, and I really was. I was so nervous I couldn't watch the game. At 3-0, all I envisioned was how we were going to lose it. When it got to 4-0, I was like, I started feeling a little better and a little better. By the time it got to 7-0, my 11-year-old daughter was coming out in the living room asking me to calm down and lower my voice. She had school the next day. So, a lifetime of being an Atlanta Braves fan, man, it feels good. Thank you for the journey. I watch them I record the Braves every single night. I may not watch it live, but when I come home, I do the Randall watch. I will watch every pitch and fast forward. I can do a game in about 40 minutes. So, go Braves. Thank you for a heck of a journey. Rod's Meta.
Well, first I want to congratulate yourself people
Hey,
like my
sir.
wife, my father-in-law, for true Braves fans. 1995 was a long time ago. I was a sophomore in college. I had a fake ID. It was it was a long ass time ago. It was a magical season, and it proved that anything can happen in baseball, and that's the beauty of it. Who gets hot at the right time? Who's defense, who's bullpen? You never know. Everyone said the Dodgers were the best team, and they'd face Tampa. Well, that didn't happen. It wasn't even close. And that's baseball. You just never know what's going to happen. Playoff baseball is amazing. For long-suffering Braves fans, I tip my cap, and I'm right now, but my hands are underneath my desk. But it was a magical year, and it proved that anything can happen. And finally, I wouldn't be ashamed of the beauty of sports and waiting so long and being so passionate about a city and teams is that it does bring out the inner child in you. It does remind you of those days when you were sitting in front of the TV when all you had to worry about was watching that game, and that's all that mattered. It's okay. My wife and I joke around. You let wins last for so long, except World Series wins, they can last for a year. You let losses last for so long. But in the end, it brings you back to those times. And to me, that's, along with loyalty and many other things, competition, that's the beauty of sports.
Well said. Well said. Brendan Chang, take us home.
Yeah, so I remember as a kid, watching the Braves and watching the Cubs. That was pretty much all we had on TV. It was TBS or WGN. And I remember 95, they won. That was, back in the day, Mark Lemke, Jeff Blauser, Fred McGriff, Tom Glavine, Ron Gant, David Justice, Terry Pendleton. The list goes on and on. Those guys were awesome to watch. I was big into baseball at that time, especially I was still somewhat a Cubs fan, but I was a Braves fan too, just because they were also regional. And those were only two games you really got to see. What a run! What a magical time! Like I said, when they were playing the Dodgers and their bats were hot, like that's the type of magic that you see in a playoff run that has to happen. And you see that, and you see a relentless team. Like, they had the cards stacked against them with their best player going out. But as Rod stated, if that didn't happen, they wouldn't have got Soler and the other three picks. Just the stars aligned, and this was just absolute magic. It was perfect. This is what baseball is about. This is the pastime. This is what we all love about the sport. It brings everyone together, and you get to see something magical like that. So what a run. Congratulations to all the hardcore Braves fans, especially you. And it was fun to watch as a fan.
Stephanie Meta, she survives a house full of Dodger fans too.
She does. And real quick, Smoltz said in 95 they were expected to win. This year, no one expected the Braves throughout the entire year. In each series, they were underdogs. Like Shane and I and Robbie and yourself have said, it's a magical run, man. It probably won't ever happen again, but at least it happened.
Good run. Robbie Davis, you're the smartest man I know. Bring us home.
So today, not necessarily today, but actually Tuesday marks the day where my wife will hear over and over and over again, I don't make the schedule. And so this is the glory time for me for sports. UT basketball starts on Tuesday. We still have college football. We still have NFL. We're going to have NBA. And from Tuesday until the first week in April, it is all UT basketball, bowl games, NFL, some NBA mixed in. It is the beauty of the sports season. And congratulations to the Braves. I'm so happy they won the World Series. but I don't get to. I can't act like I'm a huge baseball fan and say, "Hey, Allison, I'm going to go watch the Braves game tonight." She's like, "You haven't watched 162 of them." You're not
But
watching-
admit, playoff baseball is different, though. I don't
Way
blame people.
different.
Playoff baseball.
Way different.
Every
It
pitch,
is.
every pitch matters.
I get it. I know the arguments, but I'm saying, like, yes. So this sports season coming up is my favorite time. We have over Thanksgiving. We're planning on going to Savannah and just watching the tournaments, and like this is my sports season up until April, and so I'm excited about that. And from all accounts, Kennedy Chandler is the shiznit, and so Tennessee should be going some places.
I heard that twice last year.
It's
Still got to play
strange.
together as a team.
Basketball school.
I convert from a college football fan to an NFL fan, and I've got my first set of Falcons tickets coming up. I haven't been all year. Been going to college football. So I'm about to go see the Falcons play on a Thursday night. And I'm super excited. And I almost go from college football to NFL football fan. And it happens right there at the same time. But I also start with Tennessee basketball. And the one great thing about college basketball, 7 days a week, you can come home and find a matchup that is excellent.
I've already been checking pin-palm rankings, and we haven't even played yet. He's refreshing and be like, "Where's?"
He's got preseason rankings.
He does, yeah.
You're ahead of me. I got to get the Kentucky week. So, also tomorrow night, high school football playoffs open up. It's win or go home.
Yeah, that's true.
Is Baylor in the playoff?
Hey, I think we're going to do our best up at Rowan County, but we drew
Hey,
a
Randall,
tough matchup.
is Baylor in the playoffs?
Yes, of course.
Yep.
They pay a lot of money to make the playoffs, Rob. I'd be
A
shocked.
very good.
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
So, for Randall Cunningham, for Brendan Chain, which Stretch the Chain has become. Did y'all see the name of the show tonight? Stretch the 3R's.
Stretch to 3R's. I know.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't
I like
mind
it
this
better.
format because, to be honest, I mean the content is going to be somewhat repetitive. If I don't know, but I don't want to
I
intrude
agree.
on 3R's.
What are we going to do? Golf on your own? Like, I know you love golf, but that's not an hour show.
Yeah, that's a 10-minute segment.
Yeah.
We should make this permanent.
Just tell me when to show up, and I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll work on. I think we may be working towards something. I'm trying to close. Let's see. Let me start again. 4.
Sorry.
I'm trying to stay under 2 hours. For Brendan Chain,
We're already over 2 hours.
Robbie
Robbie,
Davis, good night. God bless. Oh.
I'll do the chop